If you've been tirelessly scrolling on YouTube trying to figure out how to fund my business, then this is exactly what you've been looking for. In this video, I'll show you literally A to Z how to get your hands on up to 100K plus in business funding by understanding what the banks want to see from you today to get approved. So let's head over to my computer and break everything down. All right, so we are at my computer now. And as you see, the fastest path to 100K. Now, the first thing that we want to talk about today is the old methods, okay? What's not working anymore, what people have been doing over the last, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years even. So Dunn's numbers, a lot of people think they need that to go ahead and get business funding. Net 30s, that's another common one that people think that they need. And excuse my handwriting, I got horrible handwriting, so just bear with me in this video. But also too, business builder accounts. Also, that's another one that people try to get, and it takes very long, right? And I'm not saying that these methods don't work, but they just take extremely long. Also too, another one is paydex scores. People, locking in on those and everything like that. So like I said, not to say that these things don't work, ladies and gentlemen, because they definitely do, but we want to make sure that we know that there is a faster way. Okay, there is definitely a faster way to do this, and these are some of the, again, old methods that just haven't been working as effectively as they once have. And also too, I want to talk about another one that people use, and this is more so getting into our solution here, but authorized users. That's another thing that people use a lot. And again, don't listen to me. You can get this straight from Experian or FICO, whoever you want to look at, but they're not factoring in authorized users anymore. Like they're just not. So that's something that we have to pay attention to as we kind of move into what is the correct way and the fastest way to do it. So okay, let's kind of get into it a little bit. We need to understand as business owners about leverage. Okay, not only in credit or funding, but just in business overall. This thing right here is very, very important. Leverage. Okay, so the second thing is leveraging personal credit. This is the way, ladies and gentlemen, and it's the fastest way. And the reason people typically don't want to do this is because they may have bad personal credit. Right? That's a very common reason. Or they feel like they are mixing personal and business, which is definitely not true. All right? So it's a bunch of things that people think when you hear leveraging personal credit. But it's really the fastest way, okay? Leveraging your credit. Now, the next question you may have for me is like, okay, well, you're telling me to leverage my personal credit. Okay, what does that mean? What does that actually look like? So let's kind of dive into it. So how to use personal credit. What do we need? So the first thing is when we're looking at our credit scores, this is really, really, really important. I cannot stress this enough. We got to make sure we're checking the right thing. So what that means is, a lot of times people, they're going to look at Credit Karma, right, to check their credit score. They're going to look at something like Credit Sesame. That's another one, right? A lot of these different sites and everything that people use, right? So the reason why these are not what you want to be checking is because Credit Karma and Credit Sesame, most of these places like that, they check what's called your Vantage score. Your Vantage score. And the reason why this is not good is because most banks don't use this, okay? They're not looking at your Vantage score at all. What most banks are going to use when you're applying for credit is your FICO scores. Okay. That's what we got to know. They're going to use your FICO scores. Okay. So with that being said, where can we go to check our credit, right? So we can't use Credit Karma. We can't use Credit Sesame, right? So where can we go? So my recommendations are this: Experian. They have a great setup. We'll get into it a little bit. Also, My FICO. It's another good one. You got to go where you can get your FICO scores. Okay. And so talking about Experian and My FICO, they have two different plans. All right. I got two main plans that we're going to talk about. So with Experian, they actually have a free account. That's just a main free account. You'll be able to check your Experian credit score once a month. That's when it updates. Okay. The next thing is for $9.99, they're going to give you daily updates. All right. I hope y'all can see that. I told y'all my handwriting is bad, but that says daily updates. And then the next option that you're going to have is the $29.99. The $29.99. And that one's going to give you access to all three credit bureaus. Okay. We'll just put 3Bs for 3 bureaus. So that's how Experian work. And My FICO is very similar. They have a $29.99 plan that updates every 3 months. And then they have a $39.99 plan that updates every month, right, for all 3 bureaus. And what I will say about My FICO really quick, and I kind of Experian good, don't get me wrong, but My FICO is just a tad bit better. And the reason why is because they're going to give you your FICO 8 scores, which is what most lenders pull. They're going to also give you your FICO 9 scores. They'll give you FICO 10 and the new one, FICO 10T. Right? So you'll get all these credit scores just by, again, using My FICO. Again, Experian is good too, don't get me wrong. But, either one you can't go wrong with. And we're going to get into why this is important, because not every bureau pulls the same type of FICO scoring model. But this is kind of what you want to know in terms of where to go to check your real credit scores. Okay, we don't want to be, again, using wrong data like Credit Karma and Credit Sesame. So if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you go ahead and smash that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications so you will be notified every time I drop a new video. So you want to have at least a 680 FICO score. Okay, this is very important. We'll talk about the different scoring models here in a second, but 680, this is kind of the sweet spot. This is when things will start to open up for you in terms of being able to get business funding and things of that nature. So the next thing we want to talk about, and this is big, is average age of accounts. This is a really, really big one. So you used to be able to fix this with authorized users, but now not so much. So what this is basically what they call having a thin credit profile. You don't want to have a thin credit profile. So you want to make sure this is kind of like the sweet spot. You want to make sure you want to have at least, I would say, about 2 years. Okay. So you want to have at least 2 years of history on your credit profile. We'll talk about what you need to have on there. But again, 2 years of credit history. Now, if you want to be optimal, okay, when you hit that 4-year mark, that's when things get juicy. Okay. The 4-year mark is good too. I know that it might look like it's 74, but it's 4 years, not 74. If you got 74 years of credit history, congratulations. But yeah, that's 4 years of credit history. But either one of these two are good. Now, can you get some business funding if you have a year in history from, some particular banks? Yes. But again, these are the sweet spots you want to kind of pin in on is these two right here. Okay, 2 years and 4 years. Once you hit that, you'll kind of be in a pretty good spot. So moving on, we want to talk about next is new accounts and hard pulls, aka inquiries. So these are very important too. This is what makes you, what I call looking thirsty for credit. All right. So the sweet spot here for the new accounts, you don't want to have more than about 3 in the last 3 months. Okay. That's where you want to have that. Same thing for hard pulls and inquiries. You don't want to have any more than about 3 in the last 3 months as well. Now, I get this question a lot. People will ask me, they're like, hey, well, I have, let's just say you got 17 inquiries, right, on your credit profile. That doesn't mean that, you're not in this boat, because you could have 17 inquiries in total, but maybe you only have, let's just say, 1 in the last 3. So that means you're good. Okay. So it's not about the total number of inquiries. Okay. That's not what we're talking about here. We want to make sure, because a lot of people get this confused. It's not the total number. It's just this right here. What do you have in the last 3 months? That's the main thing you want to focus on. Next thing we're going to be talking about on the list, and this is really, really, really important. It's probably one of the most important things. No negative items. Kind of going a little bit deeper on that, because this also caused some confusion. So the main thing you want to focus on is having no collections. That will make it really hard to get approved for business funding if you have collections. Also, if you can have no charge-offs, also, that will help. Now, if you got 1 or 2 old charge-offs that maybe like 5 years old, 4 years old, 3 years old, something like that, and you can't get them off, sometimes that's okay. But preferably, you want to have no charge-offs, okay? Also, if you can have no public records, that would be good. Okay. A lot of people ask, well, what are public records? What does that include? So that could be tax liens. That could be BK, bankruptcy. That could be a judgment. Anything like that. That's what will show up in your public records section of your credit report. So you want to make sure that's squeaky clean as well. And then also no late pays. Now we'll put a caveat right here, because although we want to make sure we have no late pays at all, that just makes things easier. However, so if you don't have none in the last 2 years, you're good. Okay. So, as long as they're past the 2-year marker, if you have them and you can't get them off, you should be okay. So on to the last one in this section. This is another important one. Utilization. This is another one people get wrong a lot. So when we're talking about utilization, a lot of times people are just thinking about personal credit. So they think like, oh, okay, well, if my utilization is at 30%, I'm good, right? As long as it's at 30%, I'm good. Or they'll think, oh, if it's under 20%, I'm good, right? That's another one I hear. Or they'll say, oh, well, all of my cards, let's say cards are my credit cards, All of my cards are under 20%. So none of these cut it, ladies and gentlemen. None of these cut it. All right. So let's talk about what it is, like what we actually need to have. So the sweet spot, under 10%. And this is for your total credit profile. Okay. So that doesn't mean you need to be under 10% on every single card you have. Right. But your totality of your, so that doesn't mean you need to be under 10% on every single one of your cards, but your total credit profile, you need to be under 10%. And I'll give you like a quick scenario on how you add this up. Okay. Say you have we'll do like some just easy math. Say you have a 5K credit card. Let's just say you got 3 5K credit cards. Okay. 3 5K is take your total credit limits, which would be $15,000. That's what you have because you got 3 5K cards. And then you would times it. If you want to get to 10%, times it by 0.10. Okay, that's the equation for that. If you want to get to 5%, which is another sweet spot, you would do 15 times 0.05. If you want to be as optimal as possible and get to 1%, you do 15 times 0.01. So that's the equation for that. Super simple. I get a lot of people ask me like, well, how do I calculate? That's how you do it. Okay. So whatever you get when you take 15, you times it by 0.10, whatever that number is, that's what your balances need to be owed across all cards to be at 10% for your credit profile. All right. So that's easy math. That's how you do that. Again, you'll have a 750, 760, and that doesn't mean, if you have a 760, that means you're good. A lot of times people think that, oh, my credit's a 730. You could still get denied if you don't have some of these other things in place, like your utilization, right? We talked about you could maybe have a 740, but you got some public records like a taxing that could cause issues for you. You got a collection on there that would cause issues. Maybe your average age of accounts, I see that a lot, is not up to par, and you can have a 760 and still get denied. So you got to have all of these aspects that we just went over in place to kind of be where you need to be. Okay. All right. So now that we know everything we need to know about the FICO scores and the credit profile and the optimization of it, now it's like, okay, how do I build the strategy? Okay. How do I build a strategy? Okay. Which banks? Strategy build out. So, you hear this a lot of times in the industries, credit stacking. This is kind of what this is. I'm gonna break this down. Let's just say you live in Ohio, for example. And I won't get into too much about the structure of your entity, all that stuff, because that does play a factor in this as well. But we're just talking about, the strategy of setting up the credit profile, things of that nature. So this is how you want to line these banks up. So the first thing you want to know is, well, where do they pull from? Maybe you're in a situation where, let's just say there's 3 credit bureaus, right? We got TransUnion, and then we got Equifax, and then we got Experian. Okay, so these are our 3 bureaus. This is what we're working with. Our TransUnion credit score is clean, right? We're looking at, I just say like a 760 FICO 8, all right? And maybe your Equifax is like, I don't know, let's say it's like a 710. Okay. Maybe we got some charge-offs that were shown on this one. Experian maybe is 725. Okay. We got a 2 late pays we haven't got off on there yet, but TransUnion is our clean one. So in this scenario, we got to make sure, okay, let's focus on TransUnion then. Okay. That's our strong one. So now, what you can do to try to figure this out is like, okay, I'm giving y'all what I did when I was on my journey to getting business money. Like there's a website. I'm gonna put it on here right now. It's called Doctor of Credit. before I had all the data points that I have now, and working with a bunch of clients and having an AI system and all that stuff. Now, before I had all that, this is what I did. Doctor of Credit. It's a website. They have a full database where you can go ahead and see what these banks are going to pull from. Okay. Now sometimes they won't have all like the regional banks, stuff like that, but most of the banks they do have. So this is how you'll be able to understand where these banks are going to pull from. This is really, really important, because if you don't have this, you're not going to do it right. You're going to mess up. Okay. So you want to know which banks are going to pull what. Okay. So in this scenario, we want to operate off of TransUnion. So one bank that is going to pull TransUnion, we've identified that from Doctor of Credit, and I'll give y'all this one. It's US Bank. Okay. US Bank. So we know they're going to pull TransUnion. So, and they're in Ohio. So this is a bank that we can line up, okay, that we can use. Okay. And this is how you want to do this. Because, like I said, 760, when everything's clean there, this is the bureau we want to attack first. Another bank we can use is WesBanco. They pull TransUnion. Okay. So this is how you can kind of line this up. And so maybe with experience, like, okay, we're past the 2 years in late pay. All right, well, we can probably do Wells Fargo here, because they're going to pull here. So this is how you build this thing out, ladies and gentlemen. And so you'd be surprised how quickly you can get up in terms of funding as well. Continuing on, we got, Chase. More times than not, they're going to pull Experian. Another Experian one as well, Citizens Bank. So like I said, guys, I mean, we can do this all day in terms of banks and just go down the list. But this is how you would want to line this up. You should have a board, a real whiteboard, or, on an iPad, whatever. Like this is how you should be lining this up if you're really serious about doing this. And so you may be thinking, okay, well, how is this going to get me to 100K in business funding? Very, very, very simple. So you think, okay, well, I go to US Bank. They give me a 9K credit card. Okay. All right, we go to WesBanco. And again, we're just talking about business credit cards. Maybe you can qualify for the line of credit if you're a year in business, things like that. So with WesBanco, let's say they give you a 15K business credit card, and they give you also 15K line of credit. All right, so just right here, we're at 39,000. Off of two banks. Okay, we come over here to Wells Fargo. Okay, we can do two credit cards, and again, after making this video, their business credit cards aren't out yet because they're revamping them, but they will be coming out very, very soon. So you're going to be able to do multiple credit cards on one pool with Wells Fargo. So we're just talking about the business credit cards. So they give you 10K on two cards. Okay. That's 59,000 right there. Then we'll swoop to Chase. Okay, that's another one. They give us 10,000. Okay, then we go to Citizens Bank. Okay, then they give us another $10,000 on a business credit card. Okay, and again, like I said, we're not factoring in lines of credit. Wells Fargo, if you were 2 years in business, boom, they give you a line of credit. No documentation potentially. So literally, we're basically at 100,000. Okay, so like I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't take much to do this. Okay, now I know this is a lot, but if you're serious about doing this on your own, this is what you got to do. Okay, this is how serious it is. This is how you're not throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Okay, you have to have a strategy. You have to be this detailed when you're going through this, because if you're just willy-nilly walking into the bank, applying and hoping for the best, or just thinking because you got a 750 credit score, everything is good, it's not that simple. Okay, these banks are looking for a lot of different things. They're looking for the structure of your business to be up to par. Everything I mentioned so far about the optimization of your credit profile, all that stuff has to be in order for you to do stuff like this. And again, I'm just being very modest. These limits could be higher when you actually apply, but these are like modest numbers here that are very doable. Now, if you've watched this video and up to this point and you're like, LaJuan, I see this is possible, but this is just too much. I'm busy. I don't have time, or I don't want to mess up. This is too much. I'm confused. And you just want us to do it for you. Okay. You want to Come in, work with us one-on-one. We'll build out this entire thing for you. We'll line up the banks for you. We even give you our banking contacts, and they'll literally set up your applications and do all this for you. Hold your hand through this entire process. If that's what you're looking for, you're kind of ready to invest in a solution, go ahead and book a call. The link's going to be in the description. We'll sit down, hop on a call with you, kind of go through everything, see if it makes sense for us to partner together, and again, build you a custom funding strategy to be able to get this done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications so you will be notified every time I drop a new video. Now, you watch this video and maybe you want to know, like, okay, well, what's some business bank accounts that I need to set up to kind of start getting these things in motion? Go ahead and click the video that you see on the screen right now. It's going to take you to a recent video I just did going over 6 business bank accounts that you can get set up as soon as today. So go ahead and click that video and I'll see you in that one.